Thoughts and views of this podcast and the sole views of the curators of this podcast is not the views of United States Postal Service.
How does he do it?
And we are back on the Route Podcast, episode 14. Yes, we in the teens, man. We doing our thing, man. And today we're going to be talking about annual leave and sick leave. Oh yeah, that AL and that SL. We all love it. But before we even get started, like we always do, let my brothers introduce themselves. To my left.
Welcome to On the Route Podcast. This is Aaron, a.k.a. Andy's favorite podcaster. We got a great show for y'all, so on to Brandon.
What's going on, y'all? It's B. Morton. You know, we here. I'm ready. We live and level. Oh, I'm sorry. We live. Coming to y'all. I'm ready to get these topics. I'm ready to get y'all some information as always. And I'm going to kick it to my man, to my left, Brother Black.
All right, this is Black. Happy to be back. You know what I'm saying? Got some good information as usual. And we're getting it cracking.
All right, and as always, the engineer, staying low key. I guess I'm not really that much anymore, but still trying. Rick Shine, you know what I mean? Here with y'all, doing our thing, man. So we're going to get into this annual leave, sick leave thing. Black, you want to take it away?
Well, what we're discussing is the leave, sick leave, annual leave, because as a postal employee, we're entitled to certain kinds of leave. Now, you know, we're a full-time employee, so we accrue 4 hours of sick leave per pay.
Mm-hmm.
And we, receive annual leave yearly. And how that annual leave actually works, I'm going to let my man Brandon let y'all know.
All right. So annually, it says full-time annual leave is credited to the beginning of the year each year. It says for part-time employees, it says earn their leave as they work. So that's how much does full-time employees earn? So less than 3 years in the post office, you can earn up to 13 days, which is equivalent to a 4-hour pay period. Then within 3 to 15 years service, you earn 20 days, which is occurred up to 6 hours per pay period. Then after that, when you have 15 years or more, you earn 26 days basically, which requires 8 hours per pay period. So then it says, no, prior military service does not count towards your years of USPS, but it's used to settle for far as the military certain condition. Huh?
It does count.
Oh, it does count, yeah.
Yeah, it says it right there.
It does count. I'm sorry. It does count. And then it says military certain condition applies on account of any of your service time towards earning, and it says annual leave. It says also ask your human resources officer to cooperate. Oh, to compute this. I'm sorry. This time for you. So then it says right here also the other leave we all don't like talking about, which is we call it LWOP, which is leave without pay. It says leave without pay does not affect your annual leave earnings.
Does.
Oh, no, it does. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm off today. It says consult your human resources office. It says concerning this too. Now it's asking how much can I take over each year. It says beginning unit employees overcover under union contract 440 hours basically. So now it says this is ESA employees carry 560.
Well, in annual leave, how many, like my first year so that really doesn't discuss how, like when I made regular, what I leave was retroactivated. I think I got, because I made regular in March, so I didn't get the full leave for the year, which would have been, at the time was 107?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. I believe so.
I think I got like 77.
Okay.
I'm not sure how that math works, but I always had a question about how they do annual leave, because a lot of stations, even when you put in annual leave, never put it in right or don't put it in at all. But like what were y'all experiences with annual leave, or how stations handled it?
Me personally, like, I haven't had too many problems with that because normally when I take like leave, it's not really on like one of the prime days that everybody goes for. You know what I mean? So usually when I hand in the slip, it gets taken care of, or if I have to bang the hotline, we call it making the hotline bling. You know what I mean? I use annual leave, like it gets put in like it's supposed to, because I have enough. Like I was able to occur, enough that kind of has me at a status above what my step is, because COVID happened and I didn't go anywhere that year, so I just pretty much kept 80% of that leave and just kind of rolled over with the new stuff they give you. Because the thing with annual, if you don't use all of it, the next year it rolls into whatever they're going to give you, so it adds up. But there is a max out limit, and I believe we heard from a senior carrier that is traditionally 440 hours, I believe. I think at one point it was up to 500 plus because of COVID. They gave us extra leave. But if I'm not mistaken, next year that changes. It goes back down to what it used to be. Which is, I mean, that's roughly what, about like 5.5 weeks of vacation? Yeah, that's pretty decent. Yeah, you know what I mean? The average person takes like 2 weeks. You know what I mean? So when you're a maxed out regular who gets that annually, or you're somebody who worked your way up to having your time like that before you reach the maxed out rate, you can literally take probably 2 separate vacations, you know what I mean, in the same year, which isn't bad.
So when you become regular, how much do you get after being a CCA for like first year?
Well, I got 107, but for the year it's 107, but for me, I think it was like 77, and I made it in March 3rd. So
I got the 107.
107, okay.
Yeah, I didn't get that much because I made regular in December, so I had to wait. I think I got like just the regular thing, because I made it right before cool, right around cool. I made it 2020, and I think I'm trying to think. I didn't have any. I don't think I had any annual. I had to wait. Because I made it right there on the cusp, and I don't think they gave it to me right away, or not mistaken for sure. So I had to double check that. But yeah.
Well, annual, I don't really have like that much of an issue with, because I'm like I said, we get it annually. It occurs. They top us off, which I think is a little crazy. I'm like, to top me off is almost like you're trying to control how much time I can have off from the job. You know what I'm saying? Legally, because it's like, maybe say you're somebody who has, who wants to try to store up 700 hours. You know what I mean? It's impossible because they cap you off. You never know. You might need that. Because I knew a guy who was at MOD. He got in the post office, I think, when he was 18 years old. And he ended up having like a stroke when he was like 48. So he literally had 30 years in at 48 years old. And he was out of work for a long time. And I think all his leave, annual and sick, because he was a guy that came to work all the time. All his leave was like over in like 10 or like 11 months, him being out. And it's like, yo, that doesn't add up to me. Like, somebody that comes to work as much as he did, all he had was enough time with both annual and sick leave to cover us for almost 11 months, which is almost a year. But it's like he did 30 years of the job. And he was here all the time. And they said he barely took a vacation. If he did, it might have been for like a week. So if it was unlimited as far as annual goes, like the way sick is, he probably could have covered himself the entire time until he's ready to retire. Yeah. And when he found out he wasn't able to come back to work, because sadly he was not able to come back because they said it was too risky for his health. You know, I mean, it was a good thing that he was 48 when that happened to him, because he was able to recover somewhat, but he was some unrepairable damage to his body from it. You know what I mean? I just think it was sad, because I remember like almost like a year later, they were trying to take up a collection for leave for him, like sick. You know what I mean? Sick leave, because he had ran out of everything.
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy.
So,
well, with that being said, like that topic, I had a question for y'all and people out in the audience too. I was like, what do y'all think about the post office having unlimited leave? How you think that would work?
I think that'd be amazing. Like, because if for some people that, like to work all the time and don't really use that much leave, and it will build up. But I can see why the post office doesn't do it. because the amount of money that could accrue is crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But, you know, if it was, I can see why sick leave could be unlimited because if I'm not mistaken, when you retire, they don't even pay you out the whole sick.
No,
As far as I know.
Yeah, they
like
pay
anybody, you know, if it's different, you know, let us know in the comments. But far as I know, what I was told, they don't even pay you out the whole sick leave. That's why I think it's unlimited. But they do pay you out the whole annual leave. But if it was unlimited, a lot of people would be taking advantage of that. A lot.
I know my thing with sick leave. I just wonder why do it occur only for a pay period? Like that's the most craziest thing in the world. Like y'all really making work for all this hard just to get in 1 month 8 hours. So I'm gonna split up my I'm gonna call off 2.5 hours so I can split it this month. Like why do I chop my sick leave into like that? As far as with that, like I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, to go back to what Black said a second ago, like, in my opinion, honestly, with the, like, making it unlimited, reward the people that come to work, yo.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're somebody that, like I said earlier, you only take a vacation probably once a year, and maybe you go for 2 weeks, maybe you go for 10 days, you know what I mean? Because maybe you're somebody who just likes to be at the job. Like, why should that person not have the advantage of being someone who's a regular employee that shows up? I remember our vice president of our union said to me, like, recently, he was just like, man, I just want people to come to work. Like, that was his main thing. Well, my thing is give people an incentive to want to do that.
So the incentive be like, if you work like 95% of the quarter, like you get like extra time.
Yeah,
That would be dope. Yeah, because that's a huge problem we have. I don't know about the other areas. Like, you guys can say this down low in the comments if you guys are having an attendance problem in your area. But I know in Philadelphia, we have an attendance problem. You know what I mean? And it's like, how can you get people to want to come if you're not giving them any incentive? Just paying them to be at work is not enough because every job does that. So how are you going to compete to make them not want to leave the job?
Yeah, like you said, give them more leave. Like, if you come to work, 90% of the year and you get however, many more leave hours, I think people would come to work more. I think that would work.
And it's like, I'm not trying to rag on America. You know what I mean? I'm really not. But I'm pretty sure, like I've said in previous episodes, like, we're taking this thing a little global. You know what I mean? Because, every country has a postal service. So, on the Route Podcast, I'm going to try to figure out how other people who do this job are doing this job in other countries. So we can contrast. But I just think, like Brandon said a minute ago, like, to me, that's just like a horrible deal that you have to work 80 hours to occur for sick leave. Because sick leave is meant for when, you get hurt and you can't come to work and you want to be there. So they pay you because they know you want to be there and they value you as an employee. Well, if you value me as an employee, why am I giving you roughly 10 days of work just to get a half a day of pay? That makes no sense. That's like a 360 deal. That's like that deal the Power Rangers got
or
from
American Gladiators.
From Saban. Or American Gladiators. It's one of those type of deals where it's like, yo, this don't add up. You know what I mean? Like Brandon said, I would have to come to work for 160 hours, which is a month of doing 5 days a week, to get a whole day where I get to get paid if I'm hurt or if I'm sick. And I'm pretty sure, like, I'm just shooting in the dark here, but I'm going to find out this summer, you know what I mean, God willing, if, that's the same situation in another country.
All right, so let's think about it. All right, so what would be the best ratio, you think? Like, that's a ratio where the post office be like, all right, that's acceptable, and that's also good for us.
8 hours of pay.
8 hours of pay? All right.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, because now your employee look at something like, well, all right, cool. I know the pay period, at least I earned a day or I earned 16 hours. All right, cool. I can save one day to carry over. But now if you're making me doing like for that, it's still, people like, what's the point? I'm only getting, 4 hours a pay period, so all right, man, I can't miss this one. Like, what?
So that's 8 AL and 8 SL?
Or how about this? Do it like you do annual. At the beginning of the year, give them the sick, give them the annual. That's what you have for the year. That would just, the debates would be different.
And let it carry over.
Yeah, and let it carry over,
Exactly.
just like you do annual leave.
And just don't put a cap on it. Like reward the people that always are here. Y'all love to talk about the people that are here all the time, not 365, but like 300 days of the year.
Yeah.
Make them feel like they are as special as you try to talk about them. Because it's not about your words, it's your actions.
I agree. But on another note, like that was annual leave.
Yes.
Now, what it says as far as sick leave. Sick leave employees earn sick leave to use as paid time off from scheduled work hours. Sick leave may be used for illnesses, injuries, pregnancy, and medical/dental examinations and treatments. Sick leave is accrued and credited at the end of each pay period in which it is earned. Full-time employees earn 4 hours per pay period or 13 days per year. Part-time employees earn 1 hour for every unit of 20 hours in a pay schedule, up to 104 hours or 13 hours per year. 13 days per year, I'm sorry.
What does that mean? Like, earn 1 hour for each unit of 20 hours?
Of 20 hours. Ugh. I don't know. I have no idea. What do y'all can let us know in the comments what it actually is. I have no idea.
It sounds like it takes you 2 shifts and a half to get just the 1 hour. If it's 20 hours, that's you're working 8 hours a shift normally.
That's half for 3.
So you get so what you're telling me is you only get 2 hours per week?
Yeah.
That's still 4 hours a pay. That's still 4 hours a pay. So why do they word it like that?
Yeah.
Well, the thing that got me is that how you can use it for maternity and paternity leave. So what you're telling me is that I'm occurring 4 hours every 80 hours. And I can use it for when I have a child and I want to be home with the child when the child is a newborn, whether it be a male or female that's using it. So if it's infinity, if infinity, which is what sick leave is infinity is how you build it up. You know what I mean? What happens to the new employees who don't have that much because they just started the job? You know what I mean? Like the upside of it being infinity only works for the older employee who has a lot of years, and 9 times out of 10 they don't have any small children. The children are grown, so that's getting used for when they actually get hurt.
Yep.
Meanwhile, in places like Germany, they just nationwide, regardless of the job you have, they'll give you I believe it's 2 years of maternity leave, and I think the father gets 1 year of paternity leave.
Yeah, we had this conversation before.
Yeah, in Canada they give you a year as a mother to be with the child, and the father you get 6 months.
True.
Where you still get you get paid from your whatever your job is, no matter what your job is, because you're a citizen. They still got to pay you while you're out, and you can spend time with the child and get the bonding part together. We don't have no nationwide order that says you have to do that for our children here. I just wanted to point that out.
Well,
but we're the richest country in the world, supposedly.
So hypothetically, supposedly. But anyway, I was thinking as you were talking, I was thinking about that 1 hour for every 20 hours or I think it says that for CCAs because they're part-time. So technically they don't work the same hours we do, even though they do. But it's part, per the contract that because it says what it says and they're part-time, that's probably why it says 1 hour per every 20 hours.
Okay, so they try to put us all together in the same bracket.
So if they only work 20 hours, they only get the hour. And then the following week, if they only work 20 hours, they only get the 2 hours for the pay. Versus if they worked 80, they get the whole 4.
Okay. Well, I mean, out there, we talking from a city perspective too. If it's the same thing in the rural areas, by all means, hit that like button. Let us know down in the comments. And if you have not subscribed, because I'm still seeing like 40% of our listeners are not subscribers, rock with us. We on episode 14. We ain't going nowhere.
Yeah, and as far as sick leave, I experienced a lot of the same problems that I did with annual leave. You see, I'm one of the people that have FMLA because I have a condition that, it's not going away. So I use my FMLA at least once a week. And, so obviously from me telling you that, I don't have a lot of sick leave.
Well, I noticed something in the sick leave before we get to FMLA.
Okay.
I noticed it said illness, injury, pregnancy, and medical, but it don't necessarily say like mental health.
Wow, that's amazing right there.
And that is not an issue in Canada and Germany, by the way. They encompass that along with all the other healthcare matters.
Yeah, like things is changing. Like ever since 2020, especially, like crime goes up, like bills go up, inflations and stuff like that. So I don't know. That's a real thing.
The amount of suicides went up too in this country because of that situation.
So what you're telling me is, you for mental health issues you couldn't use your sick leave?
I think you should be able to though.
I guess they could combat you on it, so to speak, because it's not in writing.
Right.
But that's something with an update basically. Like with times, like the one thing you have to do, you have to adapt. And I feel like they're not adapting or adequating with what's going on here. Like you have to adapt with modern society. Like why didn't you update your handbook of what's going on with that? Like that's something you're supposed to do. Like who fumbled the bag right there? Who fumbled the ball right there? Basically, somebody's fumbling with that.
All right, you know who fumbles the ball. Same person is running the post office. Same person that's making our legislative laws. Same person.
Miles
or
Sanders?
people.
Yo!
Ooh, that was you understand?
Yo!
It's always the same people, man.
You understand?
But yeah, like you were saying with the FMLA.
Yes. Well, I'm going to use some of what my man Aaron said. For mental health issues, you can use FMLA. And, that's not my issue. My issue is hyperthyroidism. So, I don't want to go into that because that's not what this is about. This is about the leaves and the things we can do with leave. And FMLA, basically, even if you have no leave, it just protects you from being, fired for those some odd weeks that you're approved to have. In the paperwork, it says 12 weeks. In my experience, some people have had more. And the job tries to tell you that, if y'all, people out there have had these experiences, let us know. They say they can deny your FMLA. In my case, and for what I experienced, that's not true. And when I've said and asked to my doctors, and that's not true because if you have a chronic illness, you cannot be denied FMLA because your illness is not going away; it's ongoing. So if they tell you that, it is bullshit. I'm here to tell you it's not true because I've experienced this myself. But they will try to play the games with you.
And my thing is, in order to deny somebody's Family Medical Leave Act request, you have to have a medical background to know that their diagnosis was true or false, which is not anybody in the post office. I don't think there's a single person in the post office that has a doctorate in medical science.
Not that I know of.
So to try to, it's just, I'm not going to use the R word, but it's just stupid.
Ridiculous?
No, I wasn't going to say ridiculous, but okay, that's fine. We'll go with ridiculous. It's ridiculous for somebody that's not anywhere near the medical field to try to tell someone else what their medical health is. But it just shows you the type of country we live in and the mindset of the people.
Yeah, because when FMLA comes into play, you're literally under doctor's care. It's not much they can tell you as far as, whatever job or the post office or anywhere else you're at. Because of the law, you're able to have this to protect yourself because of your illness. Because your illness interferes with, you working. So this protects you. And that's exactly what it's there for.
Like,
Go ahead.
Did you have any experience where it was like they tried to combat the FMLA? Be like, nah, you can't use it. Yeah. How that went?
Bad for them. Because I'm the kind of guy where I'll be like, okay, I'll go to my doctor. He'll write me a note. I'll bring it back, and that'll be the end. But that's where I ran into a lot of situations where they were, playing with my leave, my annual leave, my sick leave. There were times where I would call out FMLA and use my sick leave, and I know I put in sick leave. I literally have the confirmation number to show that I put in sick leave. And I think I showed it to you before, Rick. They would use my annual leave. Yeah, and we like to hold on to our annual leave for summertime or whatever part of the year we want to take, whatever weeks we want to take. And they will do that so, you won't have any annual leave. And I will come to them and say, yo, you use my annual leave. I put in for sick leave. Well, I didn't do that. Listen, this system we call out on is automatically generated. So when you call out sick leave, it puts you in for sick leave. That's what's supposed to be used. But when they use annual leave, that means they went in manually and changed it to whatever they wanted to change it to. Because I had a supervisor before at the station tell me that, I don't know if this is true, I only had this told to me by one person. When you call out, no matter if it's FMLA, no matter if it's a regular call out, sick leave, annual leave, when you come back, you're supposed to fill out a leave slip to say what leave you used. Now, to me, that sounds like a load of crap, because when you call out, they ask you that same question. What kind of leave are you using?
Well, do you fill that out upon request of the management, because they can approve or disapprove you being out? Meaning, whether the approve or disapprove has nothing to do with you getting the leave, because you get it anyway because you put it in. It just says to them that, oh, it's cool, I'm cool with you not being here that day.
Okay.
That's all it's really about.
How? All right. Okay.
It's weird to me.
Yeah,
it's weird to me. I don't see why we have to go through a process that I already went through with the call out.
Yeah.
Like I never understood it, and I always ask management questions, and they always look at me like I'm crazy. And I ask them the same questions all the time, and nobody gives me any answers. And on a previous podcast, I asked Lou a question that he couldn't answer, and I haven't heard anybody or seen anybody in the comments answer the question, so I'm gonna ask it again. Why, at the end of the year, this has only happened to me once, might add, with 7 hours of LWOP. At the end of the year, when you get your lump sum of annual leave, and you have a quote unquote negative balance, which I don't understand how you accrue a negative balance when they didn't pay you. So how, all right, if I have 0 annual leave and I call out 8 hours annual leave, they mark it as a negative balance of annual leave. But I still don't get paid for that day. But at the end of the year, when I get my lump sum of annual leave, you take that 8 hours.
Well, that's just called being petty. That's all it is. There's no actual business reason behind it. There's no legal litigation of why they have to do that. It's just them being petty because you didn't have any leave and you called out anyway. That's really, to be honest with you, that's all it really is. Because if I didn't pay you to be here, you don't owe me nothing, because I didn't lose any money. I didn't outsource any money to you to do the job because you weren't here. But I'm mad that you're not here, so I'm just going to take some of your leave anyway.
Yeah,
that's
So
the definition
just
of
be
being
spiteful,
petty.
basically.
Yeah.
So you're basically charging me for something I didn't buy.
Yes. Which is kind of stealing in a way. Technically, it's kind of like stealing.
That was my point. No matter who I ask in management, this question: how is this legal? How can this happen when I'm not getting anything out of this? I don't understand it.
Well, before we go further, let me just say this for the people out there that are listening on the Route Podcast. And, if you like these episodes and you've been checking us out for the past couple months, hit that subscribe button, rock with us. Please comment below. We love seeing the comments. We love getting you guys' point of view. And hit the like button. Share this with your friends. And please, if you guys really rocking with this, post some of these episodes in whatever postal forums on Facebook that you might be in. You know what I mean? Because, some people think that it's spam when we market ourselves in a postal forum about a postal podcast. That's not what spam is. Spam is when it has nothing to do with what you got going on.
I just tell them the basic thing is reading is fundamental. That's all I tell them right there.
Exactly.
That's all I can say about that.
So if you're rocking with On the Route Podcast, a postal information podcast from real postal employees talking to other postal employees, that's our target audience. Yeah, hit that subscribe button, comment below, hit the like button. And the second part I wanted to say was for my people out there that are listening to this, because 98% of our listeners are from the United States of America. Understand that this is a country that is about business first. You heard me. This is a country that's about business first. They're not going to tell you, but they're a country about business first. You can tell by how they do what they do. Not what they say, what they do. If you're having children and you don't have any leave that allows you to still get paid while you take care of your children, that tells you they're about business, not your well-being. If they're capping you off with leave, knowing that spending time with your family is inaugural and important, especially when you have children, because you have to develop your child to be a good, upstanding citizen. You can't do that if you're always at work and you're not spending time with the child. These other countries, these other so-called developed first world countries, they have these things in place because they value their citizens and they want their citizens to be upstanding because they care about their citizens. This country is about business first. Don't take it personal because it's not personal. They're not saying F you. They're just about business. This is to give you the perfect mirror image of it. If you're anything of a history buff like myself, or if you're interested in looking into history, just look at the structure of Rome. America is literally run the same way that Rome was run. Rome was about Rome. Rome put itself above its citizens. Rome expected its citizens to do everything for Rome before they did for themselves. That's literally how we are run and governed. That's why we have a Senate, the way Rome had a Senate. That's why we have a leader that doesn't stay the leader for as long as he wants. He has to move aside. You know what I mean? Like, that's where we get all this stuff from. That's why we're the only country that has military outposts in every corner of the world. Kind of like Rome. Get it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So when you're asking these questions, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? What? It's America. We're going to make it hard for you.
Still don't make it okay.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just giving people a psychosis diagnosis of the country you live in and how it operates. Because once you figure that out, you get less stressed because now you're expecting the stuff to come. You're expecting it. You're like, oh, okay, oh, that's on brand. Like I always say, that's on brand. You know what I mean? You didn't surprise me. Like I knew this was coming.
But even though America is a business, it's run like a business, the most important is the people that keep it running and the customers. So if the people who are keeping it running is not doing well based on the business practices, then that affects the customer and that affects the bottom line.
You're 1,000% correct. But the thing about it is they know, or they assume they know, that the majority of the people / customers / workers are not educated globally on a scale where they think they can go somewhere else and get better treatment. So they're playing on your ignorance of not knowing that you can go to Canada and be a citizen and get a year off as a woman and keep your job and get paid and still take care of your child for that first year. And that even your husband can be with you 6 months out of that year so y'all both can be there with a child. They're not counting on you knowing that or thinking that actually applies in Canada, or going to a country like Germany that has a way up-to-date history that we all learn about in school of some of the things and atrocities that they committed. But yet, as of today, they seem to treat their citizens a little bit better than we get treated. And what shows a humongous turnaround in their government and their lifestyle and their society. They don't want you to know that part. They just want to keep telling you about their history, but what they used to do. So that way you still feel like you're in the best place possible. So you're 1,000% correct in everything you just said, but they know that the majority of the people don't know anything else about these other developed countries besides going to the tourist spot, getting some good food, getting some clothes or whatever, and then flying back home and say how much they enjoy themselves. Because a lot of us as Americans, when we go to these other countries, we don't really mingle with the people too much. We just go to the spots, take pictures, we with each other, and then we go home. But when you mingle with the people, you find out what's really going on, and then you can compare and contrast.
Because you focus on business as usual.
Yup.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
And speaking on that, about how we get treated as people here, didn't something happen recently to one of our fellow employees?
Oh, in the post office?
Yes.
The Supreme Court ruling? You talking about that one?
Yes. And, yeah.
Or what is something else other than that?
Mainly that.
Okay. What was it again? What was the gentleman's name? You got it over there, Aaron?
The gentleman's name, don't have it.
Gerald, let's see. I know I got it somewhere.
Yeah, shout out to Gerald.
Yeah, he was a Christian mail carrier who refused to work Sundays because of his religious beliefs.
And he went to the Supreme Court with this.
Yes.
Right, yeah.
What happened?
They ruled in his favor, actually. And in my opinion, the reason why I think they ruled in his favor is because in the fine print it says that he put in a request for what is the word I'm looking for them to accommodate him on Sundays because that was his days of worship and rest because he's Christian. And they originally approved his request and then took it away. And that's, yeah.
So anybody that's in management that listens to this podcast, if you heard what he just said, they approved his request and then they took it away. Elaborate for us in the comments what you think that sounds like from a management perspective.
And I believe that's probably the biggest reason why they ruled in his favor, because they was like, all right, we'll give you what you want. And when it didn't, quote unquote, like we talked about before, suited their needs, they took it away. And, obviously after that it says he quit the Postal Service and, because he felt a certain kind of way because he felt as though he was being, I guess you could say, bullied in a way.
Bullied and harassed, yeah.
Harassed and not...
So he was a CCA?
Yeah, he was CCA, yeah.
Or probably like an RCA.
Oh, yeah, one, yeah.
Because he was out of Lancaster, right?
Lancaster Township.
Yeah. So, he was being, not treated fairly. Now, like, Rick said before, we don't actually know how many employees were out there. We don't know if they had staffing issues or whatever the case may be. But the law says that he can have this treatment. They can, give him this treatment and be off on Sundays for his day of worship and rest. So, but we have, recently found out that in some cases the post office doesn't have to honor this.
Yeah, they don't have to honor, yeah.
Now that was the first that I've heard of that, because I know what the actual federal law states, and I'm trying to figure out how does that, what the post office says, supersede what the law says, and they don't have to grant the request. I don't understand that.
So my thing was like, when we were talking about this previously, I'm like, for them to say that they don't have to necessarily accommodate him, because it opens a can of worms, because this is a country of many people's beliefs, many different cultures, many different religious practices. And, if you're giving this guy a Sunday off every Sunday as a non-regular, when they're supposed to work on Sunday, now you have to accommodate whoever else is a non-regular who might be of a different faith. Because if you don't, that creates an EEO situation.
Oh, yeah, all done.
You know what I mean? So now you open up a can of worms, because you can't show any type of actual favoritism in no type of form in the workplace. So if you got the Christian guy saying, I can't work Sunday, who's to stop the Muslim person from saying, I can't work Friday? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Who's to stop the Hindi person who might have whatever the actual religious day is, they decide not to be there? You know what I mean? You're opening a huge can that, can you handle this? And we already, like we said earlier in the podcast, there's a staffing issue, I know, in Philadelphia. There might be a staffing issue in other places too. For all we know, it might be a staffing issue in Lancaster. This could potentially be damaging because people abuse things. You know what I mean? This guy getting this opportunity and he winning this case opens a can of worms for every non-regular employee across the country, because you could say, hey, look, I can't work this day because I believe this, that, and the third. If they don't want to accommodate, you just pull up this story with my man Gerald from Lancaster, PA, who went to the Supreme Court and won his case. You put that in front of your postmaster, manager, supervisor, whoever. What are they really going to say at this point?
You don't buckle about it, because like you said,
I
they don't
doubt
want
it. They ain't gonna bow down. They gonna say grieve it.
Yeah.
And what happens is a class action will come because the person's still not going to come in because they know they got you because this got approved.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the difference between working Friday and Sunday, but Sunday is the scheduled day off, correct?
Yes, for regulars.
Regulars on CCA, yeah.
And I think that's like important to note because he's arguing about a Sunday, to where, like it's not in the contract where we supposed to work Sundays, or is that a bylaw?
Oh, you talking about for CCAs too? Mm-hmm. Well, as far as CCAs, it says they can work them 6 days a week. So technically, they're supposed to have one day off. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And how I said they could have accommodated him was, instead of giving him whatever day during the week off, just give him Sunday because that's his day of worship, and work him Monday through Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, my thing was like in Lancaster, PA, we don't know how many routes that is, how many carriers are there. So, as regulars, we know we don't have to work Sunday. You can't really make us. So if there's only, let's just say 2 or 3 RCAs at that station, and he's trying to get off every Sunday, now you're limited down to 2. We don't know the package volume that they're getting, and if it can be completed in that 8-10 hour span that they're giving them to do it on a Sunday.
What I think also with that too is, like I heard before, like I think people come with their sister stations to come down and help them too. So they'll drag someone basically like, all right, you got enough basically, and that becomes the game of the favorite game where, all right, I helped y'all last time, you help me out here, or send me. It kind of do it here, like where was CCA basically like, well look, I gave you CCA here, a person call out, I need so and so. Like they kind of specifically ask for certain people. So like you said, it's a business basically. Like, all right, look, well you can't give me dog crap, and I give you something decent. Next time you want somebody, I ain't gonna bring nobody. I answer the phone. So it's just like, you don't know what his sister station was or how far it was, basically. And he probably said, like, how are y'all accommodating me trying to see me somewhere else? I don't know, basically. Or not even that, the person that's supposed to come over cover for him, basically, on Sundays. So if you figure Lancaster County, what's the next county over? So you'll grab a CCA from the next county over, help him out in Lancaster. So now you're creating a domino effect on each now township, basically.
And it shows favoritism because it's all for this one person, this one carrier. And that's how EOs come into piles against a postmaster or a manager. Because your hands are kind of tied when someone does this. But the fact that he went to the Supreme Court and he got this off, it opens a can of worms to anybody who knows about it and who decides to use it to whatever their advantage is.
Well, is it favoritism if the law states that he can have this? If he can have this privilege?
Well, it's favoritism towards anyone who's not of the same faith or of the same whatever he is, and they can't get the same respect.
Yeah, but you live in this country. So, and the federal law states that he can have this accommodation.
But here's a question. What happens when there's accommodation for every single one of the people in his status? How does the work get done?
Well, that's one question I wanted to ask y'all, because Brandon made a good point about people coming from different installations. Mm-hmm. Here in Philly, like we got a lot of CCAs that that's around trying to get the job and stuff like that. So it's like we might have enough people to where we can create a position specifically for that, mm-hmm. but they don't necessarily got that in the AOs or you know what I'm saying. So
yeah, and that's where I said I'm like now, and this is where I feel like it's almost dumb because I get what my man was trying to do, but it's like if this was any other type of company that wasn't on a national level where it was places everywhere, the company probably would go under because you trying to get this accommodation, and and then everyone in your level is getting the same accommodation, and now whatever the process is of the job doing what it's supposed to do is not moving effectively, which hurts the job, which can cause the job to lose money, which means you can ultimately lose your job involuntarily because of this, as a domino effect. You know what I mean? Outside of being in the post office, if this was like another type of job, then it's like, then what did you do? Now you without a job just because you opened a can of worms you didn't fully understand, and everybody around you said, "Oh, that worked. Oh, I'm gonna do it too."
Yep.
Naturally, yeah, that's what people do. They follow suit. Oh, it works for you. I don't like working Sundays either, so maybe this will work for me. So I get it, but at the same time, this is still a right. This is still the right under the federal law that they have. Now, if it was me and I was running this business, I would try to have a conversation with, the CCAs and figure out which ones actually do want to work and the ones that are willing to work on Sunday, because there's still plenty of people out there that's willing to work a Sunday to get off a Wednesday or a Thursday, or for look, you can work this Sunday for me, you can be off on Friday. Everybody loves a Friday, right? So once again, like we said earlier before, give them some kind of incentive, something.
Accommodation.
Yeah, something. I'm accommodating this person because this is religious belief. All right, cool. Now, anybody else to kind of stall anybody or stop anybody from following suit, tell them, all right, if you work Sunday, if you do this, I can do that.
I can work you the rest of the week.
I'll work with you. Work with me. People are more susceptible to work with you when you're trying to work with them.
I would just have them transfer to another station for another carrier who's not as churchy.
Everybody know who's he is.
But the thing is, I'm saying, my thing is, all right, cool. What's stopping him if the manager's all like, you're playing whisper down the lane. Oh, you got so-and-so, you got him coming here. Oh, what I'm going to do about him now? Because then the thing is, now he going to become a celebrity, or he can become hated by the CCA. Oh, you come in with your nonsense? Oh, man, here he come. Like,
listen, if I'm the postmaster or the manager with this issue, hey, look, if it's that important to you, I'll send you to a station that might be able to accommodate you. Because now it's putting me at a...
Okay, that makes sense.
So, whoever you got over there, let's do a swap. You take him,
station.
I'll take this person.
Let me ask you this. Though. But like any other station, they're going to get tired of him. Because my thing is, they're going to usually get you, all right, how is his work ethic-wise? Does he judge his job like he's supposed to? They're going to use anything against him and harass him. He can win again because he can say, well, y'all only on my ass because of who I am and what is going on. Like, so my thing is now, how do I use that? Like, so that your manager might use it. Well, man, look. Well, we can't keep you off Sunday. You're always late, slow, bringing back mail. So I've been saying it depends on like you said. You must got a lot of ammo to who you are, what you are, because you're efficient. All right, well, he's efficient. He's on time. A, B, C, and the third. So it just gotta see how it works with him.
So Rick, if you would trade him, what if he's like, yo, I live here, I'm close to here. And you trade him to somewhere within like 50 miles. He's like, man, I can't make it out there. That's too far. This works best for me.
Listen. You have one accommodation already.
I can't give you one more.
See how dominoes fall?
This is America. We're going to make it hard for you.
Yo, he gonna try to take
So I would send you to whoever... Listen, all these postmasters and managers kind of know each other in the vicinity. Mm-hmm. So whoever I knew that was like super churchy, that was really into that, hey, look, I got a guy over here. You love him. He comes to work all the time. Like Brandon said, he has good standing. He just can't work on Sunday. That person probably understands because they care about their Sunday too. I'm going to send him to you. You can give me the new guy you just got and we'll just figure it out. You know what I mean? Now, if that person happens to be 45 miles from there, look, my man, this is the choice. This is what it is. Like, I mean... You can either miss church or you got to drive extra. Like you say you love the Lord, right? Well, then get in the car and drive.
That's not fair.
Cold blood. It's cold blood.
No, but how is it fair to the
I get what you're saying, but how you putting it, that's not fair.
I'm just saying, you love the Lord. You shouldn't be complaining about gas money, yo. He will provide.
I make it hard for you.
I'm not opposed to the trade. I would say that as well because say the station you're at is a smaller station and they really can't afford to give you that time off and overwork the employees that they have. So what they do is, all right, we only have 3 CCAs, and if we give you off, and now we only got 2 to handle this workload, when then technically we only got 3, but we need 4. So we'll send you to this station, which is a much bigger station that can afford to, do that accommodation. Yes, I'm not opposed to that because that makes sense. That's good, it's a win-win. If it's 45 miles away, definitely wouldn't be that far away, but,
Who's to say?
you would be traveling further, especially if you live in that area. But, sometimes if they bend, you bend, everybody wins.
That ain't happen all the time.
No, it don't happen like that all the time.
I mean, so like I said, shout out to my man because he stood by his convictions. He won. I think he's taking into the civil court now because I'm guessing he's trying to get paid because he left the job. He quit the job. Yeah,
get paid, young man. Get paid.
So hopefully they come to some type of settlement. He can walk away scot clean. We'll get you guys an update on Rob Podcast. We're gonna look for this. We ain't gonna let this one slip through the cracks.
Dollar sign.
Because he got to give up 10% to ties.
What about Texas?
Nigga.
What about Texas?
Yeah, so that's 20% of the money's going bye-bye off the rip.
Give me that money.
Well, wait, hold on. Not even 20 because it depends on how much he gets. If he gets 300,000, that puts him in like a 37% tax bracket. So that's 37% he's giving to Uncle Sam, and then he still got to give the church 10% that he cares so much about. So we gonna stay on point on you, Gerald. We're gonna check it out. We're gonna see what happens.
The streets is watch.
You doing your thing, Gerald. Keep fighting. Fighting a good fight, Gerald.
Hey, man.
I'm being honest.
It's a dog-eat-dog world, bro.
Roughly, that's 50% of the money that goes bye-bye. So if I'm him, I'm asking for like $5 million because I gotta cover my losses. Like
That's true. Yeah.
There's no way he's getting $5 million.
No, he may get.
He might.
No, he might get like.
He might only get
300,000.
Yeah, but they're only going to give him whatever his hourly wage was from the time he missed, plus whatever suffering and whatever he had to go through on and off the job.
and you can't put a price on my pain and suffering.
No,
Because I probably really love this job, and I was here all the time, and I was thanking God for this job.
But the key factor, let me ask you this: do we get his job back if he win?
No, they're not hiring him back. Yeah,
Huh?
they're not hiring him back. Somebody gonna tell him out of the pettiness that we see in the post office. They're gonna tell him like the Lord has other plans for you.
Yeah.
well, it depends if he wants that to be a part of his settlement. If
he get that, I want
they
my
have
job
to give
back.
it to him.
Yeah,
That's true. And they'll probably take that instead of giving him $2 million. You know what I mean?
Well, they're gonna have to pay him something, but if he takes a reduced amount and his job back, then it will be that.
He like, I'm back, bitches.
But shout out to you, man. You got your stuff off. Supreme Court ruled in your favor. Congratulations. You know what I'm saying? Keep going, man. Just keep going.
Look, God is good
All the time.
Yes.
Look, he
Keep
loved us,
rising to
and
the top.
This was his ruling, and
Yep.
I'm glad it was.
Amen.
Yep.
So before we bounce up out of here, as always, let my brothers say their last words before we go.
Yeah, this is Aaron. Thanks for listening. Hopefully, some CCAs or some, young regulars get some good information from this.
Speed more, man. I'm just glad to get y'all information. Like I told you before, we ain't going nowhere, man. We can't stop. Won't stop. You know what I mean? On our podcast, baby. Take that. That's right.
Oh man, how do I go after that? This is Black, and we always give you good information. Like my man Aaron said. Hopefully, especially the CCAs. Even with this information, and they research some more and realize how to use and manipulate the leave and different kinds of leave properly, and know what to do depending on what you have to do depending on the leave.
And as always, this is your engineer trying to stay low key, but I'm not really. You know what I mean? So excuse this shameless plug. If you didn't know, I got a EP coming out soon called Over the Weekend.
Tell me what you want from me.
It's called Over the Weekend. You know what I mean? You can check it out on rickshon.com. It's rickshon.com. You know what I mean? And as always, appreciate you guys for rocking with us, man. and we just keep trying to give you good information, keep you guys up to date. And, you know, if you haven't subscribed yet, that 43% I keep saying, please subscribe, follow us, share this.
And Drake, you better holler at that man too. You got some heat.
Hold on. Wait.
Hey.
How this man promote himself on our podcast?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have left. God bless. Be safe and be safe on the routes.